Hey guys, it's Darwin here with my weekly Q&A to answer more of your questions. If you want to leave a question for next week's Q&A, you can either leave it in the comment box below or send me a video question over to darwinonthetrail@yahoo.com, and then next week I'll answer as many as I possibly can. I haven't got any video questions in quite a while, so take your camera, take your phone, shoot a video of you asking me a question so I can feature it in my video. Come on guys, I give you my video every week. Send me a video and let me feature you in my Q&A. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with this week's first question. What are your thoughts on sandals on the trail, both as camp shoes and as hiking footwear? I see a lot of people starting to make the change towards more minimal footwear out on the trail. So my thoughts on sandals are the same thoughts that I have on trail runners, the same thoughts I have on big high top hiking boots. Whatever is comfortable to you and what is going to be the most comfortable while you're out on the trail. Everyone has a totally different preference for footwear, so whatever makes you feel good, makes you feel like you have support and can get you to the end of that trail is all that matters. Now, I personally wear trail runners, so lately I have not been taking camp shoes. I've just been using my trail runners. At the end of the day, just switching out my socks and then just putting these on kind of loose. I used to carry camp shoes whenever I was on the AT, but lately I've just been kind of switching off of that. As far as hiking in sandals, I have personally never hiked in sandals, but in 2015 I hiked with a guy named Tornado Tim that hiked the entire trail in Chacos. So complete open toe sandals, got all the way to Katahdin, and he was super comfy. Never had a foot problem the entire time he was out on the trail. So again, I just think it's all in what you're comfortable with. Minimal is definitely my game and what I want to shoot for, which is why I hike in trail runners versus boots, but it's all up to the individual. It's all a preference, so hike your own hike, brother. Do you have any suggestions on how to save space in your pack? That's a good question, Matt. And my answer is gonna kind of sound smartass, and I'm not trying to make it that way. Get less gear. So the best way to save space in your pack is simply by using less gear. Keep shaking down that pack and making sure you really have what you need and getting rid of those things you don't really need. That is one of the most important things about backpacking, and a great way to learn and advance as a backpacker and how to pack your pack is really deciding what you need and what you don't need. Obviously, the less stuff you have, the more space you're going to have in your pack. So you might even get a smaller pack because you don't need all that space. Another thing that you can do is, if you have to have that extra gear, use compression bags. So make sure you can fit things into a small, tight little compression sack. Get it down in your pack so you can stack and make more room. A few months ago, I did a video called How I Pack My Pack, where I showed you kind of how I stack things in both of my packs, both the one that I carried on the AT in 15 and for my PCT Thru-Hike gear setup. So go check that out. I'll put a link in the description box below and a little tab over here in the corner somewhere. So go check that video out if you want to see how I do mine. But again, the best advice I can have is get less gear and you're gonna have more room in your pack for the important things like food. Dude, what is the song in your intro? So the song in my intro is a song called What Would Your Lover Say? And it's by the band Thunder Dreamer. Thunder Dreamer is a phenomenal band. I've known those guys for years. I grew up with a handful of them. I'll put a link in the description box below if you want to go check out their Facebook and their Bandcamp. They actually just recently got signed to a record label and released a brand new album called Capture. So go check that out. Give those guys some support. I use a lot of their music in a lot of my videos. If you check out my videos from 2015 and 2016 out on the AT, pretty much every single one of those videos, that's a Thunder Dreamer song. Crazy talented guys and some awesome jams. Hey Darwin, was there ever a time where your shoes fell apart while on the trail in the middle of nowhere? If not, do you worry about that happening? If so, what did you do? So, yeah, shoes fall apart all the time, especially on the AT, especially when you're going through Pennsylvania. You shred shoes. So the best thing to do is just simply making small repairs, which is why I always carry duct tape around my trekking pole. I've had to patch holes. I've had to take duct tape and completely wrap my sole around keep it from flopping. I've seen some really crazy shoes out on the trail, some people that have just been trying to get the most miles that they possibly can. Mine haven't gotten too crazy bad to where I've had to really doctor them up, but I did have to do a lot of repairs to Snuggles' shoes in 2016 because by the end when we got to Maine, her shoes were completely shredded, and since we only had like 100 miles left, 200 miles, we didn't want to get her a new pair of shoes yet, so we got as much life as we possibly could out of them. They were shredded, man. So mainly just duct tape. When we got into a town, we bought a little bit of super glue and shoe goo to try to put the sole back on and try to patch some of those holes. But there's a lot of things that you can do to repair your shoe and get as many miles out of them as possible. Now after a while, if your feet are hurting, it's time to get some new shoes, so maybe you should consider getting into a town and getting a new pair of hikers. But no, I've never been worried about if I'm out there hiking and my shoes fall apart. Like I said, I always carry something to repair them. I'm not a hiker, I'm a photographer. Any tips on packing DSLR camera equipment on your kind of hikes? So I'm also a bit of a photographer. I've been getting into it a little bit more lately, obviously with doing these vlogs, especially cinematography. So I do shoot on this big Canon Rebel T6i camera. It's massive. I love shooting on it when I'm on a tripod, but there's no way I would ever carry it on a hike. One, it is huge. Two, it's really easy to break it if it gets wet or something like that. And three, it is really heavy and takes up a lot of room in my pack. So actually, I recently got one of these guys. This is a Canon G7X Mark II, and this is what I'm gonna be doing a lot of my trail shooting with. Now, it's definitely a little bit heavier than say a GoPro or something, but the quality that you get from the filming is absolutely amazing. Plus, it shoots amazing still photos, does time lapse, does all that. So this is my new rig that I'm gonna be carrying on the trail and replacing my GoPro with. Usually I shoot with a GoPro, but I've really been wanting to kind of step my game up and give you guys a little bit more of a cinematic experience when I'm out on the trail. So this is my new toy. This is what I would suggest for you if you are a photographer and love taking those pictures. They're a little bit pricey, but I'll put a link in the description box below to this camera if you want to go check it out, and it's definitely a great replacement for your massive DSLR camera. You mentioned you would like to do some 700 to 800 mile trails. Any in particular that you're looking forward to? Good question. So yeah, I have mentioned a lot lately that I think after the PCT, my main focus is going to be knocking out some of those smaller trails. So right now, the top 3 on my list, especially because I'm here in New Mexico, are the Colorado Trail, which a lot of hikers have started doing that trail. Super beautiful. I haven't spent a whole lot of time in Colorado, so I feel like that's a great way to see that state is by hiking the CT. Number 2 is the Grand Enchantment Trail. The Grand Enchantment Trail is actually a trail that not a lot of people know of. The Grand Enchantment runs from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Phoenix, Arizona, or from Phoenix to Albuquerque, whichever way that you hike it. So it's actually right behind me. I'm here in the Sandia Mountains. It traverses over the Sandias, then heads north, then heads west over to Phoenix. So that is definitely one that I want to check out. I've hiked a couple small little sections of it up here on the Sandia Crest, but I'd really like to do a full through hike of that. And then the third trail that I really want to do that is smaller is the Arizona Trail. Now, this past October, I went out to do a full through ride of the Arizona Trail on my bike going from Utah to Mexico. I had a lot of problems. I messed up my knee, so I did have to pull off of that. So number 1, that's on my list of trails to complete, finish, and kind of battle. I only got about 250 miles into that trail and then had to pull off. But while I was out there, the whole time I was on my bike, because I am a huge hiker, all I could think about was through hiking it, and how amazing of a trail it would be to through hike. So yeah, those are my top 3, the Colorado Trail, the Grand Enchantment, and the Arizona Trail. Who knows, maybe I'll even take all 3 trails and kind of link them together because they sort of come close to each other as far as how their paths cross. So maybe I'll do like a mini Triple Crown or something. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. That might not happen, but it's a thought. Will Snuggles be hiking the PCT also? So that is a question I've been getting a lot lately. No, Snuggles is going to be setting the PCT out. I'm going to be doing that whole trail solo. So the whole time I'm out on the PCT, Snuggles is actually going to be taking care of a lot of my media, making sure that you guys get to see me on the trail and some other stuff with all of the media that we have going on. So she's going to be the main epicenter and the brain of this whole operation. The other cool thing is because we are going to be living a life on the road, her plan is to kind of travel up the trail as I'm hiking and come out and meet me for some section hikes. She really wants to hike the JMT, the John Muir Trail, so she's definitely going to be coming out to hike that section and then going to be kind of following me all the way up to Washington and obviously picking me up when I get up there. So you will see a lot of Snuggles out on the PCT, but no, she's not going to be doing a full through hike of the PCT. She has a lot of other things going on with her media, with her writing, and she's wanting to dive more into that while I go out and hike that trail. Hey Darwin and Snuggles, did you two sleep in separate sleeping bags or did you combine them and sleep together in a double-sized sleeping bag? So no, we slept in separate sleeping bags. For a handful of reasons. If we were like mountaineering up in some crazy high altitudes somewhere in Colorado or Wyoming, we would probably be sharing a sleeping bag to keep warmer. Whenever you're doing something like a through hike, like on the AT, you are constantly nasty and sweaty and sticky. So just the thought of being in a sleeping bag with somebody else, regardless if it's my wife or not, kind of makes my stomach churn. It's bad enough that I have to be in there with myself sticking to it. I definitely don't want to be sticking to someone else. Now for winter camping, that's a great idea. We don't have a double sleeping bag or a couple sleeping bag. We only have separate ones. But I think even then, no, we probably wouldn't sleep together. It's just, man, after a long day of hiking, that just sounds nasty. You're hiking the PCT and Bigfoot steps out in front of you on the trail. What will be the first thing you grab? Him. I'd grab Bigfoot and give him a big ass hug. Then I'd probably grab my camera and take a selfie because, number one, that would probably be the ultimate selfie, and two, I could probably make some pretty good money off that. Alright guys, last question of the week comes from Ron. How do you prepare for trails that you have never hiked before? Where do you get the updated trail info such as water locations, what to see or avoid, campsites, etc.? So Ron, there are a lot of great resources to get information about the trail. Obviously, before I do any trail, I spend months doing my research, watching videos, reading posts, seeing what other hikers have experienced and what they know about the trail that I'm about to go out. Obviously, there's a lot of really good resources here on YouTube, so I always make sure that I scan the tube and see what I can find on the trail. But also, finding forums like White Blaze is a really good website where a lot of people keep updates on trail conditions. Joining a trail Facebook page. So I'm a member of a lot of different Facebook groups for the PCT, the CDT, the AT, the Arizona Trail. So go check those out because people are always posting things while they're out on the trail to keep you updated. And then aside from that, checking out an app like the Gut Hook app is a really great one. Not only is it GPS, a map, it shows you where water caches are, but also people leave comments and show you and tell you some things that have changed. So there might be a water supply in one certain place, and if you read in the comment section under that, somebody might tell you that it's already dried up or that it's flowing great. So there are a lot of really great ways to research and prep for a hike. Check out all of those resources, but again, I try to do as much research as I possibly can to make sure I'm prepared, so I'm not putting myself in a dangerous or unprepared situation. Alright guys, so if you want to leave a question for next week's Q&A, you can either leave it in the comment box below, or like I said, send me a video question over to darwinonthetrail@yahoo.com, and then next week I'll answer as many as I possibly can. So aside from my weekly Q&As, I'm going to be starting a monthly live Q&A session over on Facebook that's an invite only for my patrons. Go check out my Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description box below. You can find out more information about that live Q&A, get signed up, and help support my channel. If you haven't got a chance yet, go over and check me out on Instagram. I'm posting a lot of new photos lately of some of the things that Snuggles and I have going on throughout the week, plus some pictures of some past hikes. If you found any value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and as always guys, thanks for watching.